Hi, folks. This is Abel James, and thanks so much for joining us on Fat Burning Man, where we talk about real food and real results. Today, we're joined by the wonderful Jennifer Cassetta, creator of the Strong, Safe, and Sexy plan featured on ABC's My Diet is Better Than Yours. You're going to learn how to upgrade your mental strength, dial in your nutrition, and kick some serious butt. But here's some big news. Allison and I are finally pulling our RV back into Austin, Texas after 2 years of traveling the country and the world. So we'll finally have a home base again. We'll have reliable internet, which will be pretty freaking awesome. I'll be doing a lot of live events with you guys real time. That's something that I didn't have the luxury of doing for a while because internet has been so hard to come by. I'm actually doing this through a MiFi device right now. We've been running mobile for a long time, so I can't wait to have great internet. But anyway, I'll be doing a lot of speaking. I'll be speaking at South by Southwest, Paleo Effects, and many upcoming events and conferences. So come hang out. I'd love to meet you. I'll be signing copies of my New York Times best-selling book, The Wild Diet, so grab yours and please come hang out. In the meantime, here are a few tweets that just came in. Kevin says, I hit the dreaded weight loss plateau. You encouraged me to seek out interval training in short bursts. 2 weeks later, I'm down 8 pounds. Thanks. Awesome, Kevin. That's great. Elodie says, I've been on the wild diet for a week now. Let me tell you one thing. Do it. I haven't felt so good in such a long time. Thanks, Fat Burning Man. Thanks to both of you. Thanks to all of you for dropping a line. You can always find me on social media under Abel James or Fat Burning Man. I try to get back to as many of you as I possibly can. Now, before we get to the show, I'd like to give you one last reminder about something new we just created for you. Are you on a budget? We definitely are. And wherever you are, I can tell you firsthand, getting the highest quality real food can definitely be a challenge, especially if you don't want to break the bank. If you've ever gotten checkout shock at whole paycheck, you know exactly what I mean. We created a handy dandy guide to help you save time and money on your grocery bill so you can get real food for less. In fact, we saved more than $300 on our grocery bill last month, and we've been doing really well recently because it's getting easier and easier to find high quality food for less. And you might not even know that some of these foods are popping up in big chain stores. They're popping up at farmers markets. So we want to show you how to do it. In this guide, you'll learn money saving shopping hacks that will cut your grocery budget by 30%, 50%, or even more while enjoying the best quality meats, seafood, and fresh organic produce for you and your family. How to save time by knowing exactly where, when, and how to shop for your favorite food, snacks, and treats. Which brands of supplements, protein, and ingredients my wife and I trust, recommend, and use at home, and much more. And since we just launched the shopping guide, you can get it for a listener discount for less than $10. All you have to do is type in from any device, mobile, tablet, computer, fatburningman.com/shopping. This time-saving, money-saving guide will more than pay for itself on your first grocery bill, or you get your money back. One of our readers, Tom, says, your tricks for finding cheap meat and then how to make the most of it in the kitchen are priceless. For once, I'm actually excited to go to the supermarket and hunt for healthy bargains. I actually love going shopping for food. Ask my mom, ask my wife, ask anyone. It's just, I feel like in the history of man, the incredible foods that are available to us when you just walk into a store, you walk into a farmer's market is absolutely incredible. So I really encourage you guys to get out there, have some fun with your food, have some fun and enjoy the experience of picking up real food. And also it's getting easier and easier to save money on it. So I want to show you exactly how to do that. So throw your food budget a bone and check out this guide today. All you have to do is go to fatburningman.com/shopping. And of course, if you just go to fatburningman.com and sign up for my email list or check out the blog, check out the shows, I have tons of free information for you. This show will always be free as well, so you don't have to spend any money, but check out this stuff. If you're on the fence about whether or not you should be eating real food and you've been bouncing that idea around your head for a while, please take that plunge. It's worth it. Once you see how good this feels, there's no turning back. So once again, fatburningman.com/shopping, and you can always go to fatburningman.com as well. All right, on to the show with Jennifer Cassetta. On this show, you'll learn how to harness the strength of a wild animal when threatened, why healthy means different things on the East versus the West Coast, what to do about having too much information, how to calibrate your nervous system with ancient practices, and much more. All right, let's go hang out with Jennifer. All right, folks, Jennifer Cassetta is a clinical nutritionist, personal trainer, and third-degree black belt. Jennifer has made appearances on The Today Show, The Doctors, Rachel Ray, and ABC's My Diet is Better Than Yours. She's also got a childhood crush on Rocky, I hear. Jennifer, I'm so glad you're here.
Totally, I do.
Is that true? That's a good one.
Yeah.
So Rocky 1 or?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
Of course I liked the other. I stopped at after 3.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Creed yet, but the young Rocky, the buff,
Wearing the hat and that cool
Totally.
jacket, that cool car. Yeah, I remember.
And the music, it gets me amped.
I'm totally right there with you. So a factoid that people might not realize, which I love, is that you used to bartend at a hip hop nightclub in New York City until 4 a.m. every weekend. We've had a few conversations about this, and you used to have New York bartender habits too, right? Like you spent your nights up late drinking and smoking instead of sleeping.
Absolutely. I mean, bars would close at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'd be like counting the money, smoking a cigarette, because you could smoke in bars back then.
Right.
And then afterwards go to the diner for an egg and cheese, and then go to sleep, wake up at noon, order up, because I was like on the 5th floor walk up of this old, apartment building on 96th Street, and then order like more egg and cheese or whatever disgusting things like from the deli downstairs, because I wouldn't even walk downstairs.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
So you've come a long way is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah.
let's skip ahead. Let's see. Tell people a little bit about what you do now.
Okay, great. Well, over the 15 years that my life has kind of progressed and my journey has progressed, it's been a lot of different things that I've been doing. Right now, I'm speaking mostly, mostly on college campuses across the country,
Right
on empowerment, safety, self-defense. I have a couple different keynotes. Some focus more on health and nutrition, healthy habits for students, or some are like, hear me roar, how to defend your mind, body, and heart against people who suck.
Yeah. I love that. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to read a quote from your book that I loved. You said, if you ever feel backed into a corner and physically threatened, think like an animal in the wild. Become the tiger. Become the attacker, and you no longer have to defend yourself. You then attack until your opponent becomes dinner. Can you talk about what you mean by that a little bit?
Absolutely. And I love the wild diet. It kind of like goes with your brand, right?
Of course, yeah, it works.
I remember exactly when my martial arts master told me, like kind of taught me that lesson.
Yeah.
And it was after I was kind of grabbed on the street, I was grabbed on the street late at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, walking home from a party and not paying attention. And a guy came up behind me, like went up my dress, grabbed me, and in my head, all hell broke loose, and I was able to scare off my attacker without even using the martial arts that I was taught, learning at the time. But what it prepared me for was to kind of release that inner beast, that inner she-beast that we all have. Yeah. So I remember him telling me this, like after the fact, kind of, or may have been before, I don't know, but we were in an elevator, and he said, if you are ever, in a place like that, like an elevator, something, and someone's coming in, you become the tiger, right? You have to attack. You're not just the victim fighting back. You're not just defending yourself. You need to attack the attacker.
Yeah.
It sounds so aggressive.
It does, but it's such a wonderful way to think about it. I think that shocks people out of their current reality, because a lot of people are living their lives that way, not just in terms of, literal threats, but also just like the day that's coming out at them, right? Like the best defense is a good offense when it comes to eating right, for example, right? Or making sure you get your workout in. It's something that you can easily extend to any other part of your life. So I just love that example because so many people, we're living in a reactive state, right? And one of the things you teach people is to be proactive. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And again, this can be in the realm of self-defense, but also health, wellness, relationships. It can really be just a theory to have in your life, but it's about awareness. So it all starts here. and that's the first thing I teach in my self-defense classes is about being more aware. I think we're all just so busy on our phones and like heads down. We're not even looking up.
Yeah.
We're not connecting with people anymore. We're just connecting with our phones, with our computers and our laptops. And it's just so kind of depressing, but also not smart. I just read today I think just yesterday, a guy was got his face slashed at 4:30 in the afternoon walking down a street in New York City. And he said, the first thing he said, I had my earbuds in. I wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
Guys, it's 4:30 in the afternoon. Like, wake up.
Yeah.
You know, like, where are we? So I think we really just need to start being more aware. And I know you have a practice, an awareness practice. I saw you doing some Tai Chi on the show, which is very cool.
And
Qigong?
Yeah, Qigong. And it's something that I do every single day. I've been doing it for years. And just some level of basically movement that you're calibrating with your nervous system can be so powerful to get you into now, to get you to be present, and also to make sure that your body is working better or whatever. But what it really does do is that awareness thing. At first you feel like it's not doing anything. It's like I'm watching my hand move in slow motion, but you do it for a while, it becomes a practice, and all of a sudden you see that your life is changing as well. And so you also recommend doing things like meditation, which can help, right?
Yeah. And again, it could be as simple as 3 minutes of just being quiet. You know, it depends on your lifestyle. I think I worked with so many people in New York City for so many years that it was like, what? Meditate? I don't have 30 minutes to sit down and do nothing. I'm too busy. I'd be like, start with 3.
Yeah.
3 minutes, just silence. And if that's really difficult, you know, I think everyone has their kind of sweet spot with meditation and what works for them better. I personally do like the movement. I like a moving meditation. So I'll teach them like this 8 count kind of just like breathing movement meditation. And you could do it 3 to 5 minutes and just kind of reset your whole nervous system. So I think it's a great practice to have something.
Yeah, and it does incredible things for you, especially if you try sitting down for 3 minutes, maybe for the first time and far too long. You'll find that being quiet is really, really loud.
Yeah.
It takes a while to dial that down.
Absolutely. I use, and sometimes just a little hack is just setting a timer for 5 minutes or, you know, and then increase it every week. So start at 3, get to 7. You know, in 2 months, you're at 10 and 12 minutes of doing a meditation, and that's a big difference.
Right.
It's
now,
a big difference.
So we talked before about where you started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Skipping ahead, how did you catch the health bug? What drives you to do what you do now?
Oh, gosh. I don't want to go on forever, but the health bug, I think, was set in me as a kid. I grew up in a healthy household. My dad was super aware of nutrition and just devoured books on it. And
a self-defense guy too, right?
Yes. And then he got into martial arts and it changed his life. I mean, he was a son of an Italian immigrant, super like New York City detective, opposite of kind of the martial way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it completely changed his life. He became more aware, became more sensitive to other people. So I saw that happening. And then it wasn't until after college that I decided to pick up the practice and like, just let me try this. I was bored of going to the gym, to be honest. I was bored of the treadmill, and that's all I really did as, you know, as young, right after school kind of thing. Yeah. So the minute I, you know, got the uniform on and just started like learning the punches and the physicality of it all, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And started kind of like a 3 classes a week kind of beginner, you know, and then on and on and on. Then it was like, ooh, I want to do more. I want to take double classes. And all of a sudden I was there 6 to 7 days a week and absolutely loved it. From there, you know, I've already told the story on My Diet is Better Than Yours, but, you know, I had a big kind of life happening or a life event, which we all had, but I started to reflect on what happened there. So do you want me to just quickly tell your listeners?
Yeah, go for it. Because not everyone not everyone listening to this watches TV. Let me just put it that way.
Of course. I totally get it. So I was working, besides the bartending, I also had a day job. So I had 2 jobs, and one of them was down by the World Trade Center, and I was walking there the morning of 9/11, and all hell broke loose. You know, I was forced into a closet basically with all these other people. The first tower collapsed. Thought we were going to die. Then we were forced to leave the building, so we were thrown out onto the street in the ash and just running for safety somewhere. So found another building. Same thing happened when the second tower fell. We were forced out of there. So anyway, finally made it to safety. And the months after that, all I wanted to do was get to the martial arts studio. All I wanted to be, where I wanted to be, was at the dojang.
Yeah.
And it was like a little refuge place for me. I just loved being there. So obviously I was kind of out of a job for a little while too.
Yeah, sure.
But I decided within 6 months to really go for it and make martial arts a part of my career. So I wanted everyone else to feel what I was feeling, the physical improvements that I was getting, the mental, the emotional, even spiritual side of it, and share that with others.
Yeah.
So I also became a personal trainer then in New York City, and did those combined for a while until then I went back to school for my nutrition degrees.
Yeah. So let's talk about nutrition, because you have a unique approach to that, but one that I very much agree with in a lot of ways. Can you talk about the way that you like to create meals and what food winds up on the plate?
Oh, wow. Sure. I shouldn't tell you. When I'm not feeling so well, sometimes I'm just like, I want cheesy nachos. So that's what wound up on my plate last night.
We're all real people.
Exactly.
It's easy to forget that sometimes.
Right. You know, sometimes though, now that I live in Los Angeles, I mean, I'm with everyone here is fit. It's amazing.
Right. It's a lot easier to be good on the West Coast.
It's a lot easier to be good, but it's also like, whoa, do any of these people cheat? Like, ever?
Yeah,
because they're all hard bodies. Like,
yeah.
So I feel some of the people in the industry, the fitness industry out here, are like way hardcore. And I still, I still am a real person as well.
Yeah.
But when I'm actually planning ahead and doing well, I think it's really important to obviously focus on what protein am I going to have. And you know me already, I'm mostly plant-based with a little bit of fish and seafood, so pescatarian. So I eat a lot of eggs, lots of eggs, pasture-raised, obviously,
Beautiful.
and then seafood maybe 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Some weeks, none at all.
Right.
Some more, but something around there. The reason why I became pescatarian was like many, many years of studying, reading, and I had a kind of aha moment around animals and protein stuff. Again, back when I was probably 20, 21. Do you want to hear this?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. So my childhood dog was dying of cancer, and I went home to visit my parents, and I just took a look at her, and I'm a huge animal lover ever since I'm a little kid.
Yeah.
And she was so sickly, like eyes sunken in, no hair on her tail. It was terrible. So, we had to put her down and everything like that. But I said, for this first time in my life, I just connected like cancer and pets and like, how are dogs getting cancer, right?
Yeah.
So I said, all right, not being scientific, just like being Jen and a sensitive being.
Yeah.
I said, in honor of my dog Duchess, for 1 week, I'm not going to eat any animals because animals are her friends. So I don't know where that came from. And then weeks turned into months, turned into years. And I did do completely vegetarian for like 6 years. And then decided to bring in some animal protein with the fish later on, only wild caught, as you would do as well. So, but years later, I was sitting in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition back at the time. I don't know, you know what that is, but it's a health coaching certification that I did back in 2005, it was actually in person in New York City. So all these major, top experts, Dr. Mark Hyman, Andrew Weil, they were coming live to speak to us. And it was really, really cool. Now it's an online program.
Yeah.
So Joshua Rosenthal, the founder of it, was telling a story. A student of his was married to a butcher, and one day she went in the butcher shop and she looked up at this hanging carcass and it had like this green slime on it.
Yeah.
And she said, "Hey, what's that?" And he was like, "Oh, that's just like cancer, and we just kind of cut it off and serve the rest of the animal."
Yeah.
And I was just like, ding,
right.
aha, got it. Like, to me, I just don't want to eat sickly animals. I don't know what I'm eating unless you're getting, the best quality. So
yeah, and I'm so glad you shared that, because I think we've been conditioned to not think of our food as coming from an animal, even when it does, right? And it's so crazy to think of how sick these animals are and how disconnected we are from that whatsoever. And it's like you see that Americans are getting fatter and sicker than ever with all of these diseases that are kind of unprecedented. And you see that the foods that we're eating, the animals that we're eating, are pumped full of hormones and antibiotics and things that have been proven to be linked to developing cancer. And not only that, they're pumped full of all these hormones that make them as fat as possible, as quickly as possible.
Right.
And the same thing is happening to us. The same thing is happening to our pets. It's no wonder that we're having such trouble, because when you look at what we're eating, if we all walked into that same butcher shop that you walked into, I think it would really change our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And back in the day, in our grandparents' time, probably, they were going to the butcheries. They were going to see the food they were purchasing and see the animals that they were purchasing, not just getting it all chopped up in a beef patty. And, there's no connection. And I recommend, and I'm sure you've read it, but to everyone out there, the Omnivores Dilemma was one of my favorite books like that. Just connecting your food on your plate to where it actually comes from. I thought that was so cool.
It's funny because reading the Omnivores Dilemma, it does something different for everyone. It depends on where you catch them. When I read it, I was a vegetarian, and it convinced me not to be a vegetarian anymore, because I realized how bad the grains were that I was eating because of nitrogen fixing and all of the GMOs and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, look, I'm trying to be good here. I don't know what else I could do. And sometimes you can have a little bit too much information about all of this. And so I hope that, especially considering we were on a diet show together or whatever, whenever you find things in media, they're trying to make health look different and everything look kind of like a fad, right? But the truth is, if you know the principles about how to get people healthy, there's a lot more in common than there is different. And so why don't you share a little bit more about that? Because you've helped so many people take their health into their own hands. What's your main approach there?
Well, it's funny. This is very funny you bring that up, because I do think about that often, especially when we were on the show together. Or I should say, we all have a similar approach, right? No one's eating a bunch of junk food, and, we're all trying to be as clean as possible. My approach is I've worked with hundreds of clients over the years, and, I can't put my pescatarian diet on every client, and nor would I want to. Bio-individuality, if you will, that's what we learned back in 2005 in IIN, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. That was the main thing. It's like everyone has different needs for their body. And not even just that. When I'm working with clients, say, like me, who just wouldn't eat animal protein because of another reason, a personal reason, or a religious reason, there's all these other factors that go into people's lives that make them choose the food that they choose. So it's trying to work with them on an individual basis. So it's funny, on my site, I have a vegan meal plan, I have a gluten-free meal plan, and I even have a paleo light, I call it, because it's not so heavy on the animal protein, but a paleo light program. So I was like, when the show was airing, the Strong, Safe, and Sexy diet on the show is pescatarian and gluten-free. So I was like, oh damn, I better make a meal plan that represents the strong, safe, and sexy
Yeah.
diet, right?
Sure.
It's the way I eat. Therefore, I made it the program for the show.
Yeah.
That's what I was highlighting.
Right.
I adopted that way to eat because I think it's the healthiest for me. Mm-hmm. Do I think has to be for everyone else? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But again, as you know, it's about the quality of food.
It's about the quality of food, and it's about biochemical individuality, like you said, and it's about your goals, right? If you're trying to look, if you're trying to look yoked, right?
Yeah.
Like The Rock or something like that, you're going to have a very different eating plan than someone who's trying to maximize longevity. Those are not the same thing, right?
Right.
And
at the same time, though, I do hope those people that are trying to get, jacked and stuff, that they do think of their long-term health, though, because there's not, just because of what someone looks like on the outside, that doesn't necessarily set them up for success in the long term. And
keep that in mind, West Coast girl. All those hard bodies out there.
Yeah, but it's not me.
Oh, come on.
I'm all about balance.
I'm interested in asking you this question. The difference between being healthy in New York and being healthy in LA have to be fundamentally different things, right?
I think so. My experience, is very different.
Yeah, what does that look like?
I mean, for me personally, it was very different because in New York, I spent most of my time in a dobok, which is like a martial arts uniform.
Sure.
And plus then, with very cold winters, you're wrapped up a lot. Mm-hmm. Then you come out here and people are wearing shorts all year round, sleeveless all year round. So it's that right there can be very different, right? Mm-hmm. Showing your body.
Yeah.
So people are way more into looks, if that, makes sense here.
Sure.
So the health out here in LA is, I think, from my view, and people, yes, jump in and tell me I'm wrong, but is mostly about looking good. Health in New York is more about surviving.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, I mean, people could come to me so broken and burnt.
Yeah.
It was just like, their adrenals were shot most of the time. I mean, it happened to me. I was just like, by the end of my 15 years there, I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
Completely exhausted. So I was not focused on, my body as much in New York at all. It was more about, wow, I'm eating out probably 6 nights a week. So how can I make the best choices possible when I'm on the go? And how can I just like take care of my body? So more like self-care, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Let's dig in a little bit more on this, though, because I'm interested. So many people come into health from various directions, right? And a lot of people come in wanting to look good. For your clients, I imagine that's what a lot of people are doing, right? They want to look good. But in the end, you have to tell them the real story, which is like, that comes second, or at least it should, right? Get healthy first. How do you kind of like pull a fast one on them like that?
Well, it's funny. I actually put it on my website in the past year or two, because coming out here to LA, I was getting a lot of young women. In New York, I had pretty hardcore clients, guys on Wall Street. They didn't miss their training sessions. They listened to me. They did what I said. It was awesome. Here, I would get a lot of women like, I just want to lose that last 5 pounds. And I'd just be like, oh. And they're like, I'm having hemp milk and, and this and grapes for dinner. I'm like, this is not for me. So I put a little disclaimer on my website that if you're just looking to lose that last 5 pounds, I'm probably not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
I want to work with people that really want to, change and have to transform their lives for healthy reasons. Not just because they can pinch like this much skin on their stomach.
Yeah.
So,
as part of that, because one of the things you teach is confidence, especially for women. What is one of the ways that you can get away from that mentality that some people might be stuck in, and really focus on more being a positive, holistic human being?
Well, yeah. How can I do that? I think I'm working on that.
I'll only give you easy questions from now on.
Yeah, no, this is a good question, but I think I am making an impact in the college market.
Yeah.
Because girls are young women are so, what's the word? Uh, Not vulnerable, but they can be vulnerable at that age. Um, to the media and always comparing themselves to what the ideal idea of beauty looks like,
Right.
or and it's just I want to try and work with people then and show them that there's a bigger picture,
Yeah.
right? That it's not just about the number on the scale. It's not about the color of your hair or this or that. It's just there's so much more you can contribute to the world than that.
Yeah.
I also happen to work at a rehab up here in Malibu
Mm-hmm.
for teenagers.
Oh,
So
wow.
I see so many young women with eating disorders, body image issues, so bad that it literally paralyzes them.
Yeah.
Like it's crippling and blows my mind.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can be more of a positive influence in that arena.
I think you are.
Oh,
You
good.
definitely are. No, when I think of, and let's talk about your mantras a little bit too, because I think that's so cool. Strong, safe, and sexy. Bam.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, the strong is about being mentally and physically strong, right? I think it's super important for your body to be strong as a woman, especially. A lot of women try to stay away from weights and stuff, scared of bulking up. I hear that a lot. But I think it's just so cool to really feel powerful in your body. And mentally and emotionally, it's like you have to work those muscles just like you would work your biceps.
Yeah.
They're as important. It doesn't just come naturally to be, positive and confident and awesome. Like you have to work at it.
Yeah.
And then safe, obviously, physically. So you learning to protect yourself through self-defense is so empowering. Just the fact that I can walk through a dark garage at night, it doesn't mean that I don't have fear. I can still feel the fear, but then say, okay, I know what to do if something happens. This is the next step I would take, and visualize those things. And that's how I get through a scary incident.
Yeah.
And then safe, obviously the diet is safe, or trying to be preventing disease in the long run. So you're safe that way. And then sexy is a inner feeling of confidence that exudes from you. I think it's again, sexy is not like I don't know, Sofia Vergara. It's well, she is super sexy. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's her confidence than the way somebody looks. Yeah.
And so speaking of confidence, you did the firewalk at a Tony Robbins event, right?
Have you?
No, I haven't. Well, what's it like? Like standing before those burning coals?
He gets you so amped. I mean, I think the whole evening leading up to that, you're basically being like, some people call it brainwashed. Call it whatever you want. It got me so amped. You're in an altered state of mind, I think.
Sure.
You're high. You're just naturally completely high. And he does give you a mantra. I think he's changed it over the years, and I don't know if I'm giving away secrets, but so he did 2 ways of preparing the audience for this. And one was the carrot, right? So here's what you want. And then that's how sometimes you motivate clients, right?
Sure.
Or here's what you don't want, right? And people will run away from that. So people are motivated in 2 different ways. So he used to use both ways. And the one mantra I remember, saying that he kept saying was charred, bloody stumps. Charred, bloody stumps.
Morbid.
I don't think he uses that anymore.
Right. That's so grim.
So it's like, darn, I don't want charred, bloody stumps. So I'm going to make sure I just walk through that fire. So it's not like blazing fire. It's hot coals.
Right.
And there's thousands of people doing it. And that's another thing I think. I'm like, if all these people can do it, I can too.
Yeah. That's cool. I had a similar experience doing a polar bear plunge off of like a 20-foot high thing that I shouldn't have jumped off of. But when you have that many people doing it at the same time, you're like, we'll all be fine.
Where was that?
Oddly enough, it's usually true. That was on the way to Whistler up in Canada.
Oh, nice.
It was really cold. Anyway, so what are some things, people who are listening to the show, are there any things that they can keep in mind if they do find themselves in that back alley in an unsafe situation? What are some like quick tips that you have for them to get in the right mindset?
Absolutely. The first and foremost is awareness. So you're not caught off guard. That's the most vulnerable place you can be, is kind of like paralyzed in fear.
Sure.
So yelling, using your voice, using your body will shock your brain out of that paralyzation that, where your body your nervous system just shuts down. So even if it's just yelling nonsense, just yell. Yeah. We're already at the point, there's so many different points that I talk about in self-defense. So if you're already at that point where there's someone trying to harm you, definitely do that. Stay aware beforehand. Get off the phone, put it away, put it in your purse, and make sure as soon as you get into a closed situation, a car, an elevator, whatever, that you lock the doors in your car, you lock the doors in your apartment, and just make sure that you're safe. So I teach the ABCs of self-defense. The A is the awareness. The B is boundaries, which I was just kind of talking about, physical boundaries, personal boundaries in relationships, right? Keep those kind of in place. Make sure that there's not people sucking energy from you, negative people surrounding you all the time. And then C, communication is really, I love the most important is body language. Yeah. So they say 55% of communication is body language. So if you're walking down that dark alley or to the parking garage, to your car in the parking garage, head held high, direct eye contact with everyone, shoulders back, chest up, walk with purpose. Not just like doo-doo-doo on the phone, not paying attention, because you'll just be a giant target. Yeah, and that actually, it reduces the chance that you'll need to ever get into any sort of altercation when you just walk around with that purpose, right? Can you talk about, I think most people kind of understand that to a degree, but can you hammer it home? Because that's such a powerful, powerful thing. To just walk like you could fight, or you could put up with anything, or that you're watching people and they perceive that all of a sudden they're not going to come after you because they're looking for the weakest target most of the time, right? Exactly. I mean, you just said it. So I try to tell my audience sometimes, like, think like a predator. A predator's going to look for the weakest link, the most vulnerable. So if there's someone walking with their head down low, shoulders hunched, or just distracted on the phone, easy target right there. So a lot of times when women, I'm just going to say it, women are attacked, a lot of times they know their attacker. So there aren't all these, there are random attacks, of course, but a lot of times they will know their attacker, whether it's a first date. So know is like not know them well necessarily, but they're in the same class as them, or just kind of know them around, and they'll be watching you, and that predator is gonna watch the prey and learn their habits. So if you ever do feel like you may have somebody that is stalking you, change your habits. Don't go home the same way all the time, or change your hours and stuff like that. Just try and be as unpredictable as possible. And then, just awareness. Yeah. And I think because we're so busy and we have so many things on our mind, taking that 3 to 5 minutes every day meditation just to ground yourself really does enhance our awareness and our gut, right? Yeah. We all have gut feelings, and you can't pay attention to them if you're doing 5,000 things at once. Right. Now, I think you're such a great example of this. Let's talk a little bit about conditioning, because you're not just fit, it performs a function,
right? You could beat me up if you wanted to. And I think that it shouldn't be, but a lot of women kind of struggle to find that link between, you know, yes, I want to look good, but I want to feel good too. And I feel like not only do you feel good, you can do something with your body that's tactical and strategic and awesome. How can you convince more people to kind of like live that life where it's true functional strength, not just kind of like bird-like arms and being small, but being useful?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know. Do you have an answer for me? How can I?
Well, I think you are. I think you're that example, right? Well, maybe you can speak a little bit to how it's changed your life.
Yeah. I think when, again, the martial arts really was the impetus to change my whole life and outlook on health and well-being and all of that. And I had mentors and I had role models there, and they were all these strong women, beautiful too, fit, right? Yeah, and some were thinner than others, whatever, but it wasn't about that. I was just in awe of what they could do.
Yeah.
And now they're all in their mid-40s and they've all had children and bounced back like that.
Yeah.
Because they never quit. They trained all through, before the pregnancy, during the pregnancy, after the pregnancy. It's a lifestyle. It's not something that kind of come and go. Even when I'm out here in LA, I don't necessarily belong to a dojo anymore. But I still train on my own when I go to the gym, you know, almost every day or whatever, just to go through my forms and do all those cool things, because it would suck to lose it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. And it feels good to actually do something, right? Like I love just playing with my dog and being able to lift her up and stuff like that.
Dog squats. I saw it today.
Dog squats. Oh, you did see that. Nice. No, but I do that almost literally every day. You know, it's just like being a human being. A part of that is making sure that you are functionally fit, that you can handle yourself. And there's a lot of confidence that comes from that. So I think it's so cool, you know, doing Krav Maga, fighting with girls, seeing girls like getting into martial arts now is just like such a huge confidence boost. I've seen so many people change their lives that way. So I just love what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And the whole baby thing, I'm just at an age right now where either everyone's, you know, trying to have babies or had babies already.
Sure.
And I see that and I think of that and I'm like, wow, you know, that's an intense thing that you have to do with your body. I want women to be strong beforehand, right? So they can carry this baby with strength and not hurt themselves. And, you know, I hear so many stories and I've had clients that have been on bed rest and this and that because their bodies just couldn't handle that much pressure and stress.
Right.
So I think it's a really cool thing to do, like as you're planning on having children and stuff like that too.
Totally. So I can't believe it, but we're just about out of time. Before we go, can you please tell folks what you're working on and where they can find you?
Sure. You can find me on my website, jennifercassetta.com, and pretty much anywhere on social media as Jen Cassetta. I'm working on, what am I working on, Abel? We're finishing up the show. Oh my God, I'm so excited for the finale. I can't wait to see who wins. And yeah, I'm going to be speaking around the country. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I have a bunch of talks on the book, but if anyone would like me to come to their organization or school during April, especially to talk about sexual assault prevention, I am doing that. I'll be doing that in the country. So yeah, reach out. And if you have any questions about martial arts, pescatarian lifestyle, or being strong, safe, and sexy, I am around.
Awesome. And we'll link to all your social media and that fun stuff on the blog post at Fat Burning Man too. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome.
Thank you, Abel. So nice.
Do you want to know how we saved more than $300 on our grocery bill last month? If you've ever wondered, how can I feed my family real food on a budget? What cuts of meat are the best value? Which brand of almond flour works best for baking? What's the best coconut oil to use? Where can I buy locally raised beef and poultry for half price? Well, we just created a handy dandy guide to help you save time and money on your grocery bill so you can get your family the highest quality real food they deserve on any budget. In this guide, you'll learn how to save time by knowing exactly where, when, and how to shop for your favorite foods, snacks, and treats, which brands of supplements, protein, and ingredients we trust, recommend, and use at home, money-saving shopping hacks that will cut your grocery budget by 30%, 50%, or even more while enjoying the best quality meats, seafood, and fresh organic produce, how to reduce food waste in your kitchen to stretch your food dollar farther than you ever thought possible, and much more. And since we just launched the shopping guide, you can get a discount to grab it for less than $10. All you have to do is type in from any device fatburningman.com/shopping. That's fatburningman.com/shopping. See you there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Fat Burning Man. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the podcast app, or wherever else you might be listening to or watching this show. Got a second? Please leave me a quick review on iTunes. I always love hearing from you, and if you think someone else might like and benefit from this free show, please take a second to share it with a friend or with a family member. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at FatBurnMan and Facebook by typing in Abel James or Fat Burning Man. Drop me a line anytime. Did you know that I've recorded over 150 episodes of Fat Burning Man, winning 4 awards in independent media and hitting #1 in more than 8 countries? And here's some more good news. You can download and listen to every single episode for free. All you have to do is type in fatburningman.com. I'll give you a second to type it in, fatburningman.com. And you'll get all the show notes in video and audio versions for all the past episodes of Fat Burning Man. Better yet, enter your best email at fatburningman.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll even send you a quick start guide to start burning fat right now and a few of our ridiculously tasty recipes as a special thanks for signing up. Once again, just go to fatburningman.com right now, enter your best email to get your free fat burning download straight to your inbox, and make sure that you never miss a show again. This is Abel James signing off. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great week.
Accordingly. But for a lot of us, I think we underestimate how good a body looks when we conserve or create a little bit of lean mass and then really reduce the body fat.